Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
You can put it on the board. Yes.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you test their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in, everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. And, of course, everybody watching Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates. Where applicable, Hotel TV, same. And, of course, everybody streaming. And those on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Now, our friends over at Vacation Buddies are giving away a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to this very simple trivia question, if so, call the number that I give you right afterwards and claim your 2 free nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. Here's the question. Which city in these United States of America is home to sports betting, the original location for sports betting, legalized sports betting? Is it A, New York, B, Atlantic City, or C, Las Vegas? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas. If you know the answer to that simple trivia question, if so, call 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, now if you've been paying attention to the wild and ridiculous National Football League playoffs, you would have seen some great football. And last week, Sal the Bookmaker showed up here on the Sports Circus, being, of course, my alter ego, if you know what I mean. So, yes, I've been prognosticating games for many years at a very, very high rate of success. And, of course, if you listened in closely, you'll know that I picked 8 out of 9 right the week before against the Vegas line, I'll have you know. Not just picking games. No, it's actually against the point spread. And this week, I only had one game wrong in the playoffs. One. And that was the Chargers and the Patriots. I took the Chargers plus 3.5, and they probably needed about 20 points, really, because it wasn't even really much of a game, end of day. The Chargers did get a good old-fashioned ass whipping at the hands of the Patriots. And that really shocked me. I thought the experience of the Chargers was going to show up. And really what it did, if you looked at the game, you saw a very inconsistent offensive line. Justin Herbert's playing with an injured hand, but really what it was is that the quarterback protection was breaking down left, right, and center. And honestly, I think it was more right than anything. So you think about the right guard and the right tackle. The left side did okay, but it seemed to me that the right side of the center was really the weak spot game. And so they were technically, the Patriots were pushing the pocket. And there's a difference between the different defensive schemes. We'll just kind of leave it like that. But it looked like the Patriots were pushing the pocket, and then it was collapsing from the late pressure on the blind side to the quarterback. And Justin Herbert looked really uncomfortable back there. And I think the Chargers are going to probably draft offensive line and more offensive line. Because defensively, they showed up. They played very well defensively overall. But when you look at how these games unfold, especially in the postseason, you say, okay, well, I was exposed about these teams, and where do they go from here? And so, look, I want to go by these just on a game-by-game basis. And when we watch the Rams play the Panthers, now the Rams, they seem to get out to a very, well, I wouldn't say a great lead or anything like that, but it looked like the Rams were dominating the game on both sides of the ball, at least for the first half. And I mean, this is a common thing. We've seen this in the other games as well. And as I watched the game, like everybody else, I said, all right, well, the Rams are winning at the half, whatever, 17-14, but really it was better than that. They really looked comfortable being the Rams. And you would think that lead would have translated into something bigger at the half or beyond the half, but it was the Carolina Panthers that just really showed up. And let's face it, the second half, both teams scored 3 in the third. Both teams scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And so really it was just something simple like a field goal between these two squads. But when you look at the balance of the game, the Rams outgained the Panthers in total yards, 411 to 333. I mean, that's significant, but it's not too significant. Passing yards, the Rams were only 45 more yards. They rushed for, 33 more yards than Carolina. And the yards per play was very close, just over 5 on both sides. They had the same amount of first downs. Third down conversions, it was actually in the favor of Carolina. Fourth down, Carolina was over 3, and the Rams were 1 for 2. And there was only 8 plays different in the game, and 1 more sack allowed by Carolina. The Rams actually punted the ball twice more than Carolina. Penalties, it was the Rams over 2-1 more than the Carolina Panthers. But Carolina did lose the ball, and that did cost them. And remember, we think about the interceptions. Like both teams threw an interception, but time of possession was just a couple of minutes different. So you could say, well, yeah, the Rams won, and they advance on to play in the next round. Let me tell you something. The Rams, they have a bunch of tools. But when you look at the tools, look, every team has the same toolbox. Some use them differently. Some have better players over here. Some have better players over there. But you look at the Rams and the Carolina Panthers. Remember, Carolina back a few weeks back, well, we'll say it was about 5-6 weeks ago, Carolina beat the Rams in that same building, and they almost had it again. This was a back-and-forth game. And so if you're wondering, why didn't the Rams win by that much more? Well, frankly, Carolina was either that good or the Rams really aren't that good. Why does it matter? I'll tell you why it matters. Because if you go to the next week, you say, well, the Rams are going to have to now travel to Chicago. And folks, if you missed the Bears and Packers game, boy, you missed one of those instant classics. I hate to use that kind of phrasing or whatnot, but it was almost as if the Bears were hyper aggressive from the outset. They took the opening kickoff instead of deferring for the second half. They wanted their field out, or their team field. Ben Johnson says, we want our guys out there. We already know what Green Bay is capable of, so we got to get out there. We got to score, put some pressure on them. And they took the opening kickoff, and they went about 15 plays thereabouts, kicked a field goal, whatever. And so they're up 3-0. But it was Green Bay that came right back and scored a touchdown. And the Bears, when they got the ball back, they knew that Green Bay was able to drive downfield, so the Bears had to go for it on fourth down. Go for it on fourth down, that kind of stuff. They went for it on fourth down quite a bit. And as you look at that game, you scratch your head and say, well, what the heck is this guy doing at the half? I mean, it was disastrous because the Bears, by going for it on fourth down, let's face it, their fourth down efficiency wasn't really that good, if you know what I mean. The Bears were 2 for 6 on fourth down. Meanwhile, Green Bay was 3 for 3. The point is, the Bears dug themselves a hole by giving Green Bay a short field. And they did it several times. And so Green Bay at the half was up 21-3. And for me as a Bears fan and watching the Bears come from behind at that point 6 times this season, no team has ever done that. Not like this. And you said, all right, the Bears are down 21-3 at the half, but they got Green Bay right where they want them. And that's kind of what it seemed like. And I have to say that I wasn't even concerned. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but, well, you're sure you were concerned. No, I wasn't. It was the strangest thing. So I felt, okay, 21-3, they could do this. It's 3 scores, whatever the case. And as you watched the interview when Ben Johnson went into the halftime, he had discussed why he was so aggressive and why he was continuing to be aggressive. And I like the idea that you stick with the plan, whatever your plan is, you stick with it, right? Stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. Because if you stay the course, then good things tend to happen. And so, in fact, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about this and staying the course. This is really good stuff, folks. What a very, very exciting weekend of football. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, radio and television. Our radio affiliates, a big hello to our friends, special hello to our friends over in Atlanta. Waking up with us, listening in on WDJY 99.1 FM. That's 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. Right down the road, everybody driving home from work, listening in on WAUD. That's 1230 on the AM dial, and that is home of the Atlanta Braves. Out of Auburn, War Eagle. Our friends over in Montgomery all the way to Columbus, listening on that station over there, all those points in between. Welcome in everybody up and down the Midwest, out to the West Coast, those driving between sunny Southern California and fabulous Las Vegas, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM Highway Country Radio, and that is home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. So if you're driving back and forth between Vegas and L.A., pop on 101.5 or 107.3 FM. You'll hear me, you'll hear this show, and tell your friends. All right, up and down the West Coast, down to our friends in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, throughout the Hawaiian Islands. Thanks for joining us over there. That's home of the 49ers, home of the Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus, everybody watching at Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets, and everybody on Hotel TV. We're applicable in about, I think it's about 550,000 rooms in 3 and 4 and 5-star hotels and resorts. Boy, that's good stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, our last count from the organization, I think they told us we get somewhere around 4 million impressions per hour. That's insanity. Nonetheless, a big welcome in everybody there. And plus everybody on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Everybody, check that out, folks. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes, make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And by the way, our friends over at Vacation Buddy, want to get this out of the way. Vacation Buddy's giving away a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri if you answer a simple trivia question. And the trivia question was this at the top of the hour. And if you missed it, make sure you write it down or remember it. Then write down this telephone number I'm going to give to you right afterwards and call and see if you can pick up a couple of nights in Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. And the question was, which of these 3 cities is the home of sports gambling, where it first started legally, that is? Is it A, New York, B, Atlantic City, or C, Las Vegas? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to that simple trivia question, if so, call 888-576-5777. Call now. So we left off talking about playoff football in the first segment and looking at the Rams and the Carolina Panthers. But that was a lot closer than what people thought. And I have to say, I really thought Carolina could have won that game. In fact, I had them plus 10 points. Boy, that's a lot of points to be giving up a home team in the playoffs. Nonetheless, it was Carolina that just, man, they had that game. They had a late lead, and they just couldn't hold on to the late lead. And what a wild game that was. And then, to get even crazier, if you watch the Green Bay-Chicago game, my God, that was one of those games that, like I said, instant classic. And the Bears were down 21-3 at the half. And it was a complete role reversal. So it was Green Bay not scoring anything in the third quarter. Bears scoring only a field goal. And so it was 21-6 at the start of the fourth. And then the Bears blew up for 25 points in the fourth, while Green Bay only had a touchdown and a missed extra point. That's it. But when you watch the game, you're thinking at some point the Bears were going to win this game despite being down 21-3. You kind of had that feeling at the half. And if you look at the performance overall, the Bears outgained Green Bay by 24 yards. They played 3 tight games this year. Passing yards, Bears outgained them by 30 yards, 352 to 322. The Bears did not outrush Green Bay. That was one of their goals, is to hold down the Bears rushing game. The Bears still ran for 93 yards. Meanwhile, Green Bay at 99 yards per play. It was 6 to 5.8. So basically a dead heat there. First downs, the Bears actually had more first downs, 3 more first downs. Third down conversions, they were more efficient. Green Bay was 6 out of 15. The Bears were 10 out of 19. So you're talking about 55% there, where Green Bay was somewhere around 40%. That was 40%. Fourth downs, I mentioned earlier, Bears just did not do well on fourth down, but they went for it 6 times on fourth down. That's crazy. Total plays, Bears 77, Green Bay 70. They both had 1 sack allowed. Green Bay punted the ball 4 times. The Bears did not punt the ball. Nope, not at all. Penalties, it was 7-2. The Bears they played pretty much penalty-wise mistake-free football. 2 penalties for 5 yards. And Green Bay 7 penalties for 65 yards. No fumbles. Caleb Williams did throw 2 interceptions, but those interceptions, one of them, I'm smart. Instead of taking a sack where the Bears went for fourth down and they were right around their 35, 40-yard line. Right around the Green Bay 35 or 40-yard line. What Williams did, he was smart about it. He purposely threw it up in the air, and he made sure it did not go in the end zone. So Green Bay intercepted the ball right around the 4-yard line, and their guy basically made it about maybe 5 or 6 yards downfield at the most, and that's it. So, in essence, it turned out to be about a 30-yard gain for the Bears from a field position standpoint. So that actually worked out quite well. That was a very heady play by Caleb Williams, and he doesn't get enough credit for making those kind of plays. Time of possession, the Bears had it for 5.5 minutes more. Tackles, they had 6 less tackles, no big deal. Field goals, the Bears were 3 for 3. Green Bay 0 for 2. 0 for 2. There's a difference in the game right there. Red zone, Green Bay 3 for 3. The Bears 2 for 5. So when you saw the game, if you watched the game, you almost knew that somehow something weird was going to happen and the Bears would find themselves a way to win that game. And so now with that in hand, it's the Bears and the Rams. So the Bears will host the LA Rams. Now here's a little history lesson for you. The last time the Rams faced the Bears in Soldier Field in January, it was the 1985 Bears, the Super Bowl champion Bears. When the New York Football Giants came in the divisional round, they were shut out 21-0. The next week, the Rams came in the NFC Championship game. They were shut out 24-0. Well, guess what, folks? The Bears did not shut out the Green Bay Packers. And they likely are not going to shut out a very, very effective Rams team. But the Rams are going to be facing a different kind of team, a big play team, where Carolina is not a big play team. The Bears had 7 come from behind wins this year. And I got to tell you, folks, I have never seen that anywhere, anytime in football. I've never seen a team, surely it's happened at some point. In fact, I want to search for it right now. But I don't recall any team coming back so frequently. So we'll say how many. We're going to go to that search engine that rhymes with noodle. I'm not going to say their name because they're not paying me anything, if you know what I mean. Now, if they do pay me, show me the money! Right? And then I get to count the bills at the bill counter. Then I'll go ahead and say their name. Sorry, so how many come from behind victories, wins, is the NFL record for one season by a single team? All right, so let's see what that search engine says. Okay, they say it was, wow, look at that. I didn't know. The NFL record for the most comeback wins in a single season by one team was held by the Denver Broncos last season. They had 12 of them, breaking their own previous record with the 2004 Chiefs, who had 11. Okay, so they came back. However, this team, this Bears team, the reason I say that is because they've come from way down double-digit deficits. I wonder if I can add that. We'll go double-digit deficit. All right, let's see if they have some, because that's really what I'm referring to. And, well, actually, it was 3 comebacks, and that was by the Kansas City Chiefs. And so, notable recent trend of 6 comebacks happening in a single NFL week, but that doesn't answer the question. But it was the Kansas City Chiefs that actually had the record with 3 of them. Chicago Bears, out of nowhere, just when the games are truly in hand for the other team, all they got to do is execute, snap the damn ball and go about their business. It was the Bears that did the unthinkable, but they came from behind 7 times this season, and some of those were big comebacks. And let's face it, they did lose to the 49ers, and they had a chance to beat the 49ers on the last play of the game, and they couldn't do it. They just didn't do it this year. But the point is, this is a very dangerous squad. Now, if you look at their matchup with the San Francisco 49ers, it's with the Rams, with the Rams. The Rams are coming into Chicago a 4.5-point favorite. The Rams are a road favorite. Now, the home team is worth 3 points. So the odds makers are saying, well, guess what? The Rams are a touchdown better than the Bears anyway. So you think the Bears aren't going to have something like that, a little chip on their shoulder for that? I'll guarantee they will. All right, back here in a few minutes on the Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live in Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. All right, welcome back to everybody. Also, that is streaming on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer. There's a whole bunch of others. Of course, I just keep going on and on with this, but we'd already be at the commercial break, if you know what I mean. So I want to make sure we sort of cut it off right there. But also, folks, make sure when you get a chance, check out the sportscircus.com and the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. And I tell you what, we've been doing this we're in our 10th year for the Sports Circus. 10 years. And over the times, we've had some really good partners. We've had some fun ones. We've had some great guests. But one of our favorite partners for the Sports Circus is the music of legendary rock band Blue Oyster Cult. Check them out, folks. A multi-platinum over and over. Boy, they are good. They're still doing it. They're out there touring. And I've seen them many times. And I have to tell you, folks, if you like classic rock, these guys, they sound like they're right out of the box. It's unbelievable. They don't fix it in the mix. No auto tunes, no backing tracks, none of that crap. They're out there. They're playing. They sound great live. Big venue, small venue. I've seen them in giant stadium setups and also in intimate rooms. Last time I saw them, in fact, was back at Halloween right here in Las Vegas at the showroom at the Golden Nugget. Nice intimate setting, 600 people in there. That's the theater they built for Frank Sinatra. And what a beautiful venue that is, with incredible acoustics. But I also saw them in giant stadiums, too. And the quality of the sound was great, but the show itself was a great show. Look, I get nothing for saying this. These are our friends. And big props and big ups to Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult. You heard him at the very, very top of the show saying you're listening to the Sports Circus. Well, he's a good guy. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you get a chance, click on that link at the partners page for the sportscircus.com for Blue Oyster Cult. You'll see their logo. And when you click on it, it takes you right to their tour schedule. Check them out right in your area. And also, there's the link for their merch and so forth. And it's really good stuff. I got to tell you, it's just an excellent, excellent show. Go see them, folks. You won't be sorry. All right. And welcome back to everybody on radio and TV and those streaming and whatnot. All right, back to the odds. I left off talking about the Rams going to Chicago next week to play at Soldier Field. And I don't think we're going to see a replay of what we saw in 1986 January. I mean, this is 2026 January. So it might be a little bit different game. The Bears do have a good defense, but they're a very opportunistic team, as I mentioned in the last segment. And they play that style of game, whereas the 85 Bears it was really probably the most devastating defense that the NFL has ever seen. And a lot of former players, I know a couple of those guys from that 85 Bears team, but a lot of former players that had to play against them and whatnot, that's the one team that stuck out in their head. They're thinking, wow, we don't want to have to see them because we already know the ass kicking's going to be on. And really, that's kind of what it was, and that's the sentiment for the people that had to play them. The people I know that played against them, they did not want to play them. This Bears defense is extremely opportunistic, like the one that played in the Super Bowl against the Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts. And they did not win that Super Bowl, but they were good enough to get there because they were opportunistic. A lot of strip sacks, a lot of punching the ball loose. That was the Peanut Tillman variety. But this Bears team is a big play-driven team. They do run the ball, which honestly that doesn't really look good for the Rams. The Rams run defense ever since Aaron Donald retired. They are not the same Rams running defense. You can run on that. And so I guess the bigger question is, will the Bears keep Matthew Stafford off the field? I'm going to guess probably as much as they can. And that's what they tried to do against Green Bay. Instead of playing their game, they got away from their game. So they fell into the hands of trying to keep the ball out of Jordan Love's hands with Green Bay, and they found themselves behind 21-3 at the half. So I think, if anything, they're going to go to school and say, all right, that style of play, when we tried to adjust our game to theirs, it didn't work. So we're going to go ahead and play our game. So I look for the Bears to play their style of game. And I think it's one of those teams or one of those games where, again, the team that has the ball last has a shot to win. And Green Bay had the ball last. They could have won the game with a touchdown, but they did not make it in there. It is what it is. And that's how the Bears live and die, seemingly. That's how the 49ers beat them. And the Bears had a chance to win the game at the very end against San Francisco, and they just didn't execute. I think it's going to be that kind of a game with the Rams. Well, the Rams just had that game with Carolina, but the Bears have that game every game. So who's going to be better? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, the Bears getting 4.5 points at home, that from the betting side is an absolute steal. As I see it, I'll give you that one for free. I mean, the Bears will probably win the game, and if they do, it'll probably be a 1-point game, but if you bet it early, you'll get the line at 4.5. And when you're betting these games, folks, this is Sell the Bookmaker putting his hat on, you always have to look at the opening line. The opening line is the true line. It has not been manipulated by the betting audience yet. So that is the real line, 4.5. For some reason, odds makers think that, well, the Rams are essentially a 28-24 kind of a team better than the Bears, or 31-27, that kind of a game. So that's kind of what you look out for. And all of these games take the same shape. So we've already covered the Bears and Rams, what's coming up. Let's go backwards and let's look at some of these other ones here. How about the Bills? Now, I gave away the Bills. I thought that was a very, very easy pick, in my opinion. And it was Buffalo, 27, and Jacksonville, 24. Why did I think this? It was real simple for me. Jacksonville went in on a really high note, winning 9 games in a row, and including a win against Buffalo. But my point is, when you look at the two teams, you say you've got a truckload of experience on one side, being Buffalo, and you don't have the playoff experience. One hell of a team with a healthy Jacksonville Jaguar team that was playing at home. But I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills plus 1.5. How do you give Buffalo any points? I'll never know. And when you look at the breakdown of this game, I mean, this was a very, very close game. I'm hell at the half. Or better yet, it was really a 3-0 game to start. And then the teams matched points for the second, third, and fourth quarters. I mean, really, it was that close of a game. Total yards, Jacksonville had 19 more total yards. Passing yards, Josh Allen had a little bit more. He had about 56 more than Trevor Lawrence. Rushing yards, it was Jacksonville doubling up the Buffalo Bills on the ground. I mean, it was 154, 70-odd yards there. Yards per play, it was Jacksonville. First downs, dead heat, 20 and 20. Third down conversions, essentially about the same conversion rate, about 50%. Fourth downs, Buffalo had 2 of them, 2 for 2, whereas Jacksonville was 0 for 1. Total plays, Buffalo had 8 more plays. They both allowed a sack, and both teams punted the ball. The Buffalo Bills punted 3 times, and Jacksonville punted twice. Penalties, it was Buffalo being more penalized, but they also had 1 fumble lost. However, Trevor Lawrence had 2 interceptions. And so Josh Allen had none. Time of possession was a big advantage for Buffalo. Tackles, it was Jacksonville because they were playing a little bit more on the other side of the ball. Field goals, both teams made a field goal. Actually, Buffalo made a couple of them. And in red zone, both teams had 3. And it was Buffalo 3 for 3, and red zone conversion for Jacksonville was 3 for 4. A very, very evenly matched game. Very evenly matched. And now you say, all right, well, Buffalo will travel to a familiar foe, and they're going to go to Denver and play the rested Denver Broncos. Can Buffalo, a very well-seasoned squad, beat the Denver Broncos? Look, I like Bo Nix, but I believe that Buffalo just knows how to win. And now, look, Kansas City is not standing in their way this year, and that was seemingly their big obstacle. Well, guess what? This might be Buffalo's year to make it to the Super Bowl. And remember, Buffalo lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. I know a guy that was on that team, Don Beebe. I know another guy that was on the team, that's Andre Reed. And I've talked to both of these guys about that very good Buffalo squad. In fact, I even talked to Jim Kelly about it. Jim, what a great guy. Tell you what, folks, if there's a nice guy in the league, Jim Kelly, over the years, has been one of the good guys. Nice round of applause for Jim Kelly. Overcoming illness and whatnot. Jim's just a great guy. Boy, if you ever get a chance to sit and talk with him, do it, folks. He is one of those really enlightened cats. But nonetheless, I think Buffalo's got a real shot to go into Denver and do the same thing to Denver what they did to Jacksonville. Because remember, they have all the experience. Denver doesn't have the experience. They've got great pieces over there. And they earned that home field advantage, just like Seattle earned it in the NFC. But both of the home teams are suspect. And I happen to believe that Buffalo's going to go in and they're going to beat Denver on their field as well, because they certainly are good enough. And that's right, you heard it here from Sal the Bookmaker. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. We're going to wrap it up in the last segment. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circuit. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas and the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out the store at thesportscircus.com. Lots of great items, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, coats, pants, travel mugs, coffee mugs, pillows, blankets, all kinds of cool items with the Sports Circus logo on them. And, of course, the cloth items, they all have that logo embroidered on them. Wonderful, wonderful products. And, yes, I have some as well. And if you mention me, Ringmaster Sal, you'll get 10% off your first order. That is the store, again, at the Sports Circus. Check it out, folks. And also, make sure you head on over to our Facebook page. I created the page. It's actually Chicago Food Favorites. It's kind of fun. I started a couple of years ago, and now it's over 4,000 members. No spam, no nothing. And listen, folks, talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. And welcome back to everybody on radio, TV. You know who you are. Everybody's streaming as well. All right, so I left off talking about the Buffalo Bills going into Denver next. And honestly, I think they're going to do just fine against Denver, even though Denver is well rested. But it's the Buffalo Bills that are battle tested. And I think that's really where the value is with this. And that's why I say, you know, the Rams against the Bears, I think the Rams with their 4.5 points is just way too much. Will the Rams beat the Bears? Not my job to tell you, but you can go to thesportscircus.com or you can go to info@thesportscircus.com and email me, and maybe we can talk a little bit about the consulting business because I'm pretty good at picking these damn games. Anyway, all right, moving on. The San Francisco 49ers are a very interesting squad. Sometimes you think you know what's going to happen with them. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you feel like you know. Sometimes you don't. The 49ers got out to an early first quarter lead, and then at the half, they ended up going down by 3 points. No big deal. Then they were down by 6 points. Well, guess what? They outscored the Eagles 13-3 in the fourth, and the Eagles had a chance to win the game. They just couldn't do it. A lot of these games are coming down to literally the last play. San Francisco advances 23-19. Now, if the Niners would have lost, Philadelphia would have went into Chicago to play the Bears, where the Bears already beat them this year in Philadelphia. So I don't think Philly wanted to play the Bears anyway. They were going to be out of the playoffs. However, everybody wants to keep playing. So San Francisco now will travel to a familiar foe, and they will travel to whom? They will play, oh, you guessed it, the Seattle Seahawks. And of course, these two teams certainly know each other, playing in the same division, right? And you have to look at it and say, well, what do you think is going to happen there, ladies and gentlemen? Well, look, it's easy to say that they've had some good games, right? So you go back to September, basically the start of the season, and you say, well, what did they do against Seattle this year? Well, honestly, they didn't play them until a little later in the year. Seattle beat them in San Francisco 13-3 in the last game of the regular season. And then it was a little bit before that, and you say, well, what else happened with these two teams? And how did they grow in between them, right? And so all the way back to the beginning of the season, and we'll go all the way back to August 23rd, the preseason, to September 14. And we look at what the 49ers did all season. You say, well, did they play that good? Yeah, they actually played pretty damn good football. And again, they did beat the Bears on the last possible play. Essentially, the Bears had a chance to win 45-42, and it was an INT in the end zone. The Bears were going in for the game-winning score. Well, and guess what? It just didn't work out that way. But ultimately, you say, well, what is the deal with the Seahawks and the 49ers? I mean, do these two teams like each other? I don't really think it comes down to that because, look, the Bears and Packers don't like each other. The Niners and Rams don't like each other. Who cares whether they like each other? How do they play against one another is what you really got to ask. And if you can't find all the information you're looking for, because, yeah, Seattle did win 13-3 in San Francisco. You say, well, what else did they do? What else did they have in common? Well, it was the Rams that beat the 49ers also in San Francisco. So what does that tell you? Are the Rams or the 49ers a good team at home? They're probably better on the road. That's how I look at it. And when you look at the games that the 49ers lost, I mean, they lost to some pretty good teams. They really did. And do the Seahawks have that big of an advantage? Well, look, back on September 7th, early in the season, it was the 49ers in Seattle winning 17-13. So both teams won on the road. And now here the 49ers are going back to Seattle. Now, it was low-scoring games, both of them. 17-13 San Francisco and then 13-3 Seattle. So that's not a lot of points at all. And you look at the two games, I mean, really, it was, what, a 26-20 total between the two teams. That's it. Seattle ends up outscoring 26-20 in two games, but they didn't score a lot of points. So what does that say? It says Seattle has a pretty good defense, and the 49ers just lost Kittle. So their tight end, their big go-to guy, their Travis Kelce, is gone. So what happens now with the 49ers? Look, they've got a next man up mentality, and Brock Purdy's out there playing with a smashed up finger that he followed through and hit somebody's helmet in the final game. And that final game, of course, well, it cost them home field. And so the Niners slipped all the way down to 6. So let's just say hypothetically, the 49ers beat the Seattle Seahawks because, yes, it's going to be played over there. And thus they did win earlier in the season on September 7th. Well, that would mean if the Bears win, then the Bears would host the San Francisco 49ers. Despite the head-to-head win that the 49ers had, the Bears have a higher seeding in the playoffs. And so, boy, talk about poetic justice. So the Bears lose in San Francisco. They have a chance to technically, possibly play San Francisco if they can beat Seattle, which I'm expecting them to beat Seattle. I think they have a lot more experience than Seattle does. They have the ability to come from behind where I don't think Seattle really has that kind of an offense. Yes, it's going to be a defensive struggle, but the 49ers can really, really run it up. If McCaffrey has a big day, which he's still, in my opinion, arguably the best player in the NFL. And so if McCaffrey has a decent day, Bears get themselves a win over the Rams. Now it's the Bears hosting the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And so, yes, I'm forward thinking a little bit here, but I'm going off a past track record. So that's what it looks like over in the NFC. It would be fun because then the Bears would, if they win all that, then they would go to San Francisco and represent the NFC in what? In the Super Bowl. Of course, that's the extended applause. But now, there was one game remaining that was played, and it wasn't even close, folks. It was the Patriots 16-3 in a defensive struggle against the Chargers. And the Chargers I mentioned it earlier, they did not have the protection for their quarterback. Chargers looked really bad today. And so either that or the Patriots really are that good. And guess what? I'm starting to think the Patriots are really that good. Could we see a collision course for 40 years later when the Bears and the Patriots squared off in Super Bowl 20? And it was the Bears 46, New England 10. Could we see 40 years later the Bears and Patriots in the Super Bowl, in Super Bowl 60? Who would ever think that? Now, since Denver has to play the Buffalo Bills at home, the Patriots will play the winner of the Texans and Steelers game, which I think this is the end of Aaron Rodgers' career. The Houston Texans are one of the best teams from top to bottom in football. They certainly, in my opinion, have the best defense out of all the remaining teams and probably in the league. And guess what? They've got a bunch of offensive weapons. They went into the playoffs on an 8-game win streak already, and they are ready. Make no mistake, the Houston Texans, although they're playing in Pittsburgh, they are not intimidated for 1 minute by the Pittsburgh Steelers and the terrible towel and all their other BS. Now, it is the Texans that will advance, and the Texans will play. That's right. It's the Texans that will play in the next round. So ask yourself, what do they do in their game? That's right. There's a pause. What do the Houston Texans do? Do they go into New England? And can they win on the road in New England? Because that's what's going to end up happening because New England gets the winner of that game. It would occur to me that the Texans and the Patriots would be one hell of a titanic matchup. And I would give the edge to the Texans from all the experience they have. Experience means everything in the playoffs. But remember, we're going to come down to just a handful of teams. And when you look at these teams, you say, all right, from an odds standpoint, who's going to be the odds-on favorite? The Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks, because those are the home field advantage teams right now. But can they hold on to that? I don't think they can. I think both of those teams are going to fall by the wayside because they both suffer from the same thing. They're good young teams with good young quarterbacks and good defensive squads, but they're not complete squads, period. Buffalo is more experienced in the AFC, and in the NFC, I got to tell you, man, that is a very, very tough quartet of teams. And those four teams could beat any four teams in the league. That's the cool thing about the playoffs this year, where any team could win the Super Bowl. Truly, any team could win. And if you look in all of the games that have been played and that will be played, you never know. I mean, it's really, the field is wide open. So a lot of times we think we may know this or we don't know nothing. That's really what it comes down to. If you think you know, that just means you don't know. And you say, wow, this certainly seems like...
Why isn't this an awkward moment?
It really is. It really is, because you can literally flip a bunch of coins and that's how you're going to get your Super Bowl winner, because there's no real dominant defensive team, I think, in the NFC. I mean, it's Seattle. The problem is Seattle can't score with the rest of them, and that's going to be their downfall. And over in the AFC, the most complete team is the Houston Texans. They are the most complete team. But will they get by the Patriots? Thinking, of course, that Aaron Rodgers is going to lose, and who knows? By the time you hear this show and then the next show, maybe it'll be Pittsburgh rolling on to the next round. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. But I tell you what, just from the betting side of it, as I see it, that's what's going to happen as I see it. But grab some popcorn, watch that Texans-Steelers game. It'll be one hell of a game. I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers' last game, and I think he's going to retire. That's going to be it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.